Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Dawson. I'm the Director of Government Solutions here at eGain. I'll turn on my camera real quick. Good to see you all. I really appreciate you taking some time out to meet with us. We're going to go through a few things today. First, I just want to introduce who eGain is. So eGain was founded a little over 20 years ago. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. We're headquartered out of California and have offices all over the world. We focus in four areas: digital engagement, artificial intelligence, knowledge management, which is going to be the topic today, and then analytics around all digital and knowledge management. We really focus on B2C or G2C. Government is a big group of customers for us, both on the state and local side and in the federal government. I think one of the reasons for that is we are FedRAMP certified and have been for the past couple of years. And being a cloud-based company, obviously, that's a big concern for most of our customers. Here's the agenda for today. Really, what I hope you walk away with is a better understanding of the need for knowledge management in the federal government, how you can best implement it through best practices, and then what we believe sets eGain apart in some of our approaches, which we'll cover at the very end. So let's first discuss the state of citizen experience. As you can see, it's not a pretty picture. I think all of us have had a variety of different experiences when calling government services or using government services. Depending on who you interact with, that experience can vary dramatically. There's certainly improvements that can be made everywhere. President Biden, along with his predecessors, have made improving the citizen experience a priority. And as you can see, we're just not quite there yet. One of the things that Gartner says is the most common mistake when improving customer experience is that knowledge is underemphasized in the experience design and demands a higher prioritization for customers. So what is knowledge management? It can help, but let's first talk about exactly what it is. Knowledge can come from a multitude of places. It can include data like facts and figures. It can include content like information, advice, contextualized data. And it can also include know-how, methods or techniques, experience, understanding, and insights. It also can be utilized in a lot of different ways. Most commonly, we see it either as informational. This includes somebody trying to access simple information, such as a citizen's account balance, office hours, or the status of a case. It can also be transactional. This includes the how to do something, information on procedures like changing an address or updating dependents. And it can also be situational. This includes the know-how to solve a problem by asking the right set of questions through inflow, conversational guidance, and taking the next steps in a process through a technology like a process guidance. So what is knowledge management? Knowledge management is most commonly defined as the process of creating, using, sharing, and managing the information in an organization. Knowledge management is also a set of practices to maximize the business value of an organization knowledge by gathering, maintaining, and delivering it at critical points in that business process. There are a lot of different kinds of knowledge. You might have heard of implicit knowledge or curated, pull, or push knowledge. I think with our federal customers, what we see the most is crowdsourced knowledge. Crowdsourced knowledge is the gathering from a community of contributors. A very common example is a tech support community containing knowledgeable members that can be focused on a certain company, product, or topic. The upside is the ability to quickly tap into the expertise of the community or the crowd. And some of the downsides is the quality of the content, which is even more important in a highly regulated industry like the government. Knowledge management technology, when done right, can include the existing processes and people who hold that know-how. One of the most common questions I get is, what's the difference between content management and knowledge management? And there's a lot of different differences. You can see a few on the screen here, focusing on the answer to a question and not just finding a complete document. Enhanced search functionality instead of spending time hunting and pecking. And process guidance to walk through an internal or an external user to walk them through a process that you have. In addition to what you see on the screen, knowledge management can also offer a more personalized delivery of that knowledge. You can deliver personalized answers to citizens or employees based off their profiles or their specific needs. You can also improve your processes and answers over time significantly more effectively with robust analytics that, frankly, content management just doesn't have. So, what is a knowledge base? Knowledge base is software to support the creation, maintenance, and distribution of multilingual and multi channel knowledge. It provides users, customers, contact center agents, frontline staff, business stakeholders easy access to answers through multiple search methods like virtual assistants or AI powered conversational guidance. The enterprise knowledge base ensures that citizens are getting and that the agency is delivering timely, consistent, accurate knowledge across all channels and touchpoints. While technology, process, people, and culture are essential for knowledge management success, technology matters in a big way as the world moves to a more digital and more automated world. So we've set the baseline for what knowledge management is and what a knowledge base is. So why knowledge management for the government? As you can see on the screen here are some of the problems. Knowledge is leaving the workplace at a time when we're encouraging the community to ask even more questions. There's also a problem that I like to call the ask mom, ask dad problem, where you get different answers from different agents depending on their experience or, frankly, just their mood that day. The other thing that we're seeing is a lot of agents and workers simply hate the tools that they're using. The newer and soon to be newest agents and workers want tools that they're used to, similar interfaces to what they use in their personal life. Agents are really the human glue across all those touch points. So without having an informal flow of knowledge, they train by really looking over somebody's shoulder. A formal system is needed. If you just add a new technology or new application, you could create additional silos that hinder rather than help. So why knowledge for government? You can see what Gartner, one of the analysts that we work very closely with along with Forrester, Gartner comments that the rapid creation and retrieval of relevant content and knowledge is critical to improving the overall customer experience. It's the number one technology that they see offering value this year and beyond. Without having that, you can really slow down and delay rolling out additional digital transformation initiatives. So knowledge is really a win-win. It's the ability to rapidly retrieve correct and consistent information. When done right, knowledge management can elevate the experience of multiple stakeholders at the same time: citizen, employees, managers, and others. Specific to contact centers and customer service organizations, it can transform, not just improve, contact center metrics such as net promoter score for first contact resolution, time to competency, compliance, average speed to answer, consistency of answers, and the agent confidence in their answers. Really a transformation, not just an improvement. So I would like to go into some of the best practices. We worked with Gartner and created 7 best practices. You hear me say this is something that we do. That's why we really help to create what we view as the best way to get this deployed. It requires people, it requires technology and a process, a combination of all of those, and they need to be embedded really well. You can't ignore any of these. So I'll start with the first one, outside in thinking. Spend a lot of time in the initial stages doing discovery. What are the sources? What are the processes? Who are the consumers of that knowledge? Most projects start with a pilot and then get into production in front of real customers and agents. But the problem that we've seen in most of these pilots is they have a real minimum scope, a real small outcome that they're going to get from it. We recommend having a focus on enthusiastic adoption. So we recommend having a scope in that project that will wow both the end users and the internal users. Customers are often surprised how quickly that can be done. At eGain, we have a pilot program that's 30 days. Most projects have elements of migration, integration, federation to other systems, user experience design. Those are all included, and you can measure it and see great value within 30 days. Next, a knowledge-based consolidation. You need to bring together all the sources of knowledge. Normally, they're owned by different teams within groups with different governance processes and different update cycles. A single solution to moving from many to one won't just be successful. A multi-pronged solution allows you to consolidate, migrate, you can mirror content, you can crawl content, and you can also federate through APIs. We often see that 10 to 20% of content answers can answer 80% of the questions that are being asked. Really is an 80-20 rule. Migrating it immediately gives the biggest ROI. So that's what we target. What are those top 10 to 20% of questions or answers that most people are asking about? Migrate those first, and then you can federate as you're continuing to roll it out. Next, we have SEO, an out-of-the-box solution that is crawlable and it can be indexed by Google. A guided experience. eGain really is a pioneer in this. We started using reasoning about 25 to 30 years ago, and we've been refining it ever since. We go beyond just stepping agents through a process, one step at a time. Guided process is the simplest, steps with decisions that can be made along the way. It can include diagnostics, reaching out to external systems to get information that you can use to lead to a solution. Also, best match, the ability to ask questions that the citizen or customer can understand to match them to the best potential product or answer, and working with partial answers to come up with the closest solution based off the limited information that you have. Also, including monitoring and compliance, continuously monitoring the conversation and alerting the agent or the supervisor when an answer is compliant or not. A data-driven approach to reach out to other systems. And then last, using parallel reasoning, very useful in finding answers to more complex questions. We'll move on to another one, the intelligent search. It was something that I had mentioned as a difference with knowledge management to content management. It's no longer enough really just to put search results in front of the user. They need to get straight to the correct answer and present it instantly without any further clicking around. They need to drive the user to one right answer so there's no confusion if they're seeing multiple answers to the one question that they're asking. We have layers of technology to get to the instant answers. We understand the intent, determine one right answer, and we learn business-specific terms that can ask clarifying questions based off your specific needs. There's also virtual customer assistance. It's probably the most popular thing in the market. It's probably one of the things that we are asked about the most, especially from our federal clients. But many are raw and shallow and tend to be kind of siloed and not connected. They don't really know who the customer is and can't reach out to other systems to bring in information. Most fail as customers realize how limited that virtual assistant is. It really has to be connected to answer broad questions, but also go deep and be easily enhanced so it appears fresh. And then lastly is context. The other side of centralization, we have all the knowledge and need to make it available across all devices, touch points. We can present in a contextual way using profile and situational data across all digital touch points. There really needs to be a knowledge hub to get this all done. What is a knowledge hub? Unstructured information, not just the customer data, everything around know-how, procedures, guidance, troubleshooting, all that content in one place. There's a different interaction depending on the channel, but the same knowledge. So if somebody emails or chats or calls or comes in, they're getting the same information regardless of that channel. It's rich, intelligent, channel aware, and current. We also at eGain use machine learning and AI reasoning. We infuse it across the IVR, routing, and the customer service process. Omni-channel content management, profiled to access context and search methods, including federated and guided search, conversational guidance, what's the next best thing to say or to do, and analytics. For example, we use machine learning to refine the intent understanding and AI reasoning to guide self-service systems and contact center agents through customer conversations. So you now know what KM is, how KM can be done right. Let's look at what knowledge management has done for a couple large government agencies. So we worked with one agency that was having 47.5 million calls answered in 2020, and they just did not have the infrastructure to sustain it. They had a desire to keep pace with premier financial institutions in the private sector, and here's the outcome. I think my most favorite stat from working with them is in the bottom right. Using a chat channel and being able to offer the taxpayer an answer to a question before they were even engaged with a live agent. they saw a 400% increase in the amount of taxpayers that were serviced per hour just using that one deflection method. Another customer that we work with, a very large government healthcare agency, they saw a 21% decrease in customer service costs. In real terms, that's $6.5 million in 3 years, simply because they were able to offer their internal users and agents a robust knowledge management solution to answer all the questions that were coming across and not needing to train them on what the answer is, but just how to use the system. Show one more here. This is a global telco based out of the UK, very large worldwide company. They have more than 25 million contacts per year, all using a knowledge hub. Adopted well, they've gone from tool to policy and really increased the way that they do business. As you can see with the 50% reduction in time to competence for new hires, very similar to what we saw on the previous slide, helping the internal users, the new users, get started with a system that can answer the questions they have without them having to hunt and peck around. So one of the things that eGain offers, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is what we call a value model and an IITD. On the left is a value model process. It's designed to map out what our customers would like to see from a solution, specifically focused around their business challenges. And the right is our pilot. We know that it can be very difficult to set up a new project. I talked a little bit about how we look at the pilot being a little bit different than some other ones, really trying to get a wow factor from the people that we work with. It's a non-billable pilot program that lasts 30 days. So that was a lot of content. I hope I didn't talk too fast. Are there any questions from anyone out there?
So I've got a couple of questions I've seen coming in the chat, Brian. The first one I've got is, can knowledge management be used internally, or is it just for contact centers?
Makes a lot of sense. And thanks for that. So most commonly we see knowledge management being used in the contact center, given the fact that they have so many customer touch points. The second biggest use case that we see is internally. Probably the most common internal is help desk. Whenever you have an internal group of people who are reaching out with a question, whether it's an HR question or a tech support question, I need to change my password or I need to update my address for my healthcare benefits. How do I do that? And having an internal knowledge management solution that can walk your employees through what to do can free up a lot of time for your other users in the tech support community to focus on more complex questions and issues that they come across. We had one customer that we worked with in the private sector that did tax support, and they started with one virtual assistant that they were using externally. They liked it so much and it was so easy to build, they built 7 more for internal use cases, primarily around tech support and HR.
Thanks, Brian. So it sounds like the answer is yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Another one, a slightly different topic. Can you expose your conversational guidance to the end customers, or is it just for the agents?
Certainly. So very similar answer as to the question that you had before. Every aspect of knowledge management can be used internally or externally. So I had mentioned before we had a very large government customer that was cutting down on their training time for the new employees and the training costs by walking their internal users through how to solve a problem if a call comes in. That same conversational AI, that same guided process can be used externally through some sort of self-service, whether you have it on the website or through an app, or you can walk a citizen through or an external user through how to accomplish something. Click here, answer this. We also have open APIs to authenticate with backend systems, so you can actually, without even bringing in a live agent, know who exactly you're talking to and offer a more personalized answer through self-service.
Wonderful. I think we've probably got time for just one more, which was, do you have real-time sentiment and compliance monitoring for customer conversations. So this sounds like somebody is interested in making sure that what your agents are saying is correct, and also looking at the sentiment of the questions being asked. Does the eGain solution do that?
It most certainly does. There's a lot of different ways that we do that. You can prioritize and route requests that are coming in based off the sentiment, and if there's somebody who's angry, we can also find keywords in emails or in chats, even through a virtual assistant, where if somebody's mentioning anything, about self-harm, it can be escalated immediately to a live agent. There's certain conversations that you don't want to be automated. You don't want to have go through a guided process. So we can identify those words and phrases quickly, and then escalate it to a live agent to help them get to the resources that they need.
Thank you. It sounds like it does everything you could possibly want. I'm just wondering if anybody else, I can't see if there's any more questions coming in, but maybe if people do have some follow-up questions after the webinar, they could reach out to you, follow them up offline. Would that be okay?
That would be fantastic. Look forward to it. And again, really thank you all for taking time out of your day. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to have a conversation about any specific needs that you have.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for all for joining us today.